Welcome to Instanet's new transaction desk. In today's video, we're going to take a look at some of the latest enhancements within Transaction Desk. We are also going to create a one-click purchase side transaction, pulling all the information directly from Paragon. And we'll create a new listing side transaction. We'll be able to do it much quicker because we're going to pull from the tax records. And we're going to take a look at the updated transaction templates. These used to be called quick start groups, and they're basically your form packages, your listing package or your sales package or your lease package, but you can do so much more with your transaction templates than you could before. One thing you're going to notice right off the bat is that the products within Transaction Desk, like Authentisign and the forms and DocBox, they're more streamlined to give you an even more efficient workflow. And some of the new great features that they've added is Transaction Desk is now a customizable dashboard-based product. That means you can set up your own broker dashboard, an agent dashboard, or even a dashboard within inside your transaction. You're going to be able to see your recently created transactions, outside forms, signings, all in one convenient place. Again, the transaction templates, or as they used to be called, quick start groups, allow you to bundle outside documents with your fillable association, company, or MLS documents. You can also now add checklists and contacts and so much more. You're going to find that all of these products that we're going to look at today are mobile friendly. That means you can use them on your phone, on your tablet, on your laptop, wherever you happen to be. And you're going to find that you can stay more organized by using subfolders and dragging and dropping documents directly from your desktop right into your transaction. You're still going to find all your great MLS, state, local associations, your disclosures, your company forms, your Fannie Mae forms, all within Instanet. You'll see that even more auto population is coming over from Paragon. You'll notice that DocBox does a lot more for you as well. It's going to allow you to store those outside documents. And again, you can now bring those outside documents right into your transactions, all bundled in your transaction templates. When we're talking about Transaction Desk, remember it's simply moving you through the entire transaction. Your clients are going to be able to quickly and easily sign using Authentisign. And if you're standing with them, you can grab your tablet and you can actually have them sign with just their fingertip. All of this information, again, is going to allow you to access it on your phone, on your tablet, wherever you happen to be. And you can still fax inside a transaction. You can fax outside of your transaction. So if you're sending documents to a client and you want to fax them, you can fax right from the Instanet fax. And remember, your clients can fax directly into a transaction as well. There's not another password to remember. Remember, it's a single sign-on directly from Paragon. Today, we're going to take a look at how quickly you can create a transaction by using our quick action links, or as we call them, the one-click transaction option. And one thing that we're very proud of is the direct document upload. That means if you're in a hurry and you're using that one-click button to create a new purchase side transaction, that will also pull the associated docs right into your transaction. So let's say that you're working with a buyer, you're writing an offer on a property. If that agent has added the seller's disclosure or the lead-based paint disclosure or even bank addendums to the associated docs within Paragon, those associated docs will migrate right into your transaction for you. So everything you need is in one spot. And with the listing data upload, you now can fill out your listing data sheet. Once you have that completely filled out, you can go right up to the top and click the upload button. What that does is it allows you to seamlessly take all the information you've just filled into your data sheet and send it over to Paragon. Once you're ready to make that listing live, you simply go into your partial within Paragon, add your photos, hit save, and your listing is live in the MLS. So you don't have to enter all the information into a data sheet, then go over to Paragon and enter it all in again. You can actually enter it one time into the data sheet. And by the way, your admins can actually do that for you. So they can help you fill out your data sheet, and they can even click that upload button for you, which sends everything into Paragon so that there's no re-entry and that there's no mistakes when people are having to type it in again. How do you get into the new transaction desk? Well, you can use that same great quick action link. Kind of looks like a splash. It's the new logo for Instanet. So if you're on the purchase side, you can go right to the listing ticket where you'll find that quick action link. And that says, hey, I want to write a purchase side transaction. It's going to take all the information for that listing and put it right into your purchase side contracts for you. So let's go ahead and take a look. We're going to start off with our one-click transaction, and we're going to do that right from Paragon. Now, by the way, when I want to quickly find a property or quickly find a listing, if you don't want to use the quick search, which is a quick option, remember there's this really convenient power search. Now, this power search used to be very limited, but as of a few months ago, it's actually got a great new feel to it. It's kind of more Google-esque, and you can do a lot more with it. So let's say, for instance, you're having a conversation with an agent, and the next morning, he told you about this great property, and the next morning you're trying to find it, and you're like, geez, I can't remember that address. Well, type in that agent's name into the power search. It will show you all of the active properties for that agent. If you type in an address now, see if I type in 123 Cherry Street, those properties are all going to pop up for me. Again, if you have an ML number that you've got from Paragon, you can do that as well. Start typing it in. It should quick fill down below for you. And then with one click, you can pull that up. So keep in mind that power search has gotten much more convenient. Once you're on that property, now I want to go to that quick action link or that one-click transaction. Now remember, this is what you're going to do on the purchase side, okay? Because we want to take all this information and we want to load it into our purchase contracts. So I'm going to click that button, and what it's going to do is it's going to start building that transaction for me in Transaction Desk. The first thing that's going to happen is you'll see a window that will appear that automatically names it the property address. But now I want to simplify this. I don't want to have to go look for a bunch of forms. So I want to apply my form package, my sales package, if you will, or my listing or lease, whatever transaction you're working on. So in this case, I want to go to my template area and I want to say, okay, I want to apply my sales package. That's going to have all of the forms that I need to complete this type of transaction. As I go down below, I want to make sure that I appear as the selling agent. And then I want to go ahead and click create. And what it's going to do is it says, hey, there's a listing agent who obviously listed the property, and then you're going to appear as the selling side. So it'll automatically put that in there for you. One of the great new enhancements is you see that this photo has actually been imported for me. When you're going to your list of transactions, you'll notice it has more of an iBooks feel, where you're going to see all of your transactions listed out. You'll see that photo. Once you click on that photo, it'll open up your entire transaction. But right here, what you're going to notice is it automatically brought us into the transaction wizard. Now, this wizard allows me to go in and add information so that I can carry all that info directly into my forms. What you should notice at this point is a lot of information is already auto-filled. Again, it's pulling all that information from Paragon and loading it into the wizard for me. One thing I do want to remind you is it's pulling from Paragon what that agent has added. So make sure you're taking a look to make sure that all that information is correct. But you want to quickly notice that we've got our tax number filled in, our township, our address, our zip code, the lengthy legal description. All that information is carried over for us. So if I were really working with a buyer in a buy-side transaction, or I was actually representing the buyer here, I would go down to this purchase information area. And the first thing I would want to add in is what my buyer wants to pay for this home. So I'm going to say that we're going to give her a nice full price offer here. And I would also want to add in the EMD, my deposit. So I'm going to say we're going to give them $1,000 EMD. Now, this wizard is generic. Remember, whether you're on the listing side or the sales side, the wizard is going to be the same. It's going to ask the same questions. So remember, when you're going through this, you're going to fill out your side of the transaction. So again, if I'm representing the buyer here, I'm going to fill out my purchase information. Over here, here's a quick tip. Even though it says listing information, if I type in property includes, let's say I want to include the stove, the microwave, or whatever it happens to be. If you take the time to put that in the property includes, maybe we want to exclude the ugly play structure in the backyard. If you take the time to fill that in, it will carry over to your purchase side contracts. So where it asks what you want included, it will actually type out stove, microwave, or if it asks what you want to exclude, it will carry that over. So keep in mind, just a quick tip, if you do fill in the appliances or things that you want to include with that property, it will carry over to your purchase side contracts. Scroll on up and hit next, and that's going to take you to step 2, where you can fill out important date information. So here, I want to fill out my offer date. I'm going to go ahead and say I'm writing that offer today. You'll see 2 new dates that are appearing, the application date and the commitment date. Keep in mind, once you fill in your dates, it can do a lot more for you. Transaction Desk has the capability to send you helpful reminders. So let's say this happened to be a listing side. If I were to put in my listing expiration date, it would send me a reminder a week before my listing was getting ready to expire. So it can actually do a whole lot more for you than just fill out your dates on your forms. But in this case, I'm just going to put in my offer date. And then I'm going to jump to the next step, which is step 3. Now, this wizard used to be 7 steps. It's only 5 now. But this is the second most important step right here. You'll notice it automatically filled in the listing agent, the selling agent, which of course would be you if you were writing this offer, and the brokerages. However, I want to make sure I'm including all the contacts on this step. Because unless you want to go form by form and add in your buyer and seller's names, all you have to do is simply add it to your contacts and it will carry over to all of your forms. So let's go ahead and do one. So I want to go ahead and I want to add my buyer here. So I'm going to go right up to the top right-hand corner and select Add. And I want to create a new contact. This is really important. You want to fill out your type because if you're using Authentisign, it will actually pre-tag the forms for you. So if you tell the program this is going to be the buyer, it will know where the buyer is going to need to sign. Many of the forms are pre-tagged. And what that means is kind of like smart forms. They know where the buyers and sellers should be signing, and it'll tag those documents for you. So it will save you a lot of time, especially if you're using Authentisign. Now I want to give my buyer a name. So I'm going to call him Mr. Moneybags. So I never seem to get lucky enough to work with that buyer. And then you want to put in your buyer's email address. All right, and then once you've done that, keep in mind if you are working with Mr. Moneybags, but he is a power of attorney for Sally Sue, or maybe he's signing for a corporation, there's an area for that. If you click on the preferred tab, it'll allow you to put in Mr. Moneybags signing for John Smith, power of attorney, whatever it happens to be. You can actually add that into preferred. And then there's also an area to put in their current address. Once you have their information, all you're going to do is hit save. And your Mr. Moneybags should be listed as a contact now. Remember, you want to put in attorneys, your buyers, your sellers, whoever you're working with, you want to make sure that you have them in this contact step. Let's jump over to step 4. Step 4 is going to be the forms. Now remember, I added my forms package, so that's why I conveniently see those forms listed out for me. If I need to add more forms, I can certainly do that. But one of the great new features that they've added is kind of a form preview, if you will, kind of like a thumbnail of the form. I used to kind of say, I know the form I want to use in my head. I wish I could see it before I add it to my transaction. So now you can. If you'd like to see a larger view or more of a preview, if you scroll over to the menu, the little dots to the right, this gives you the option to do a form preview. So let's say I want to go ahead and preview that form. I want to make sure that that's the buy and sell that I'm used to using. Oh yeah, that's the buy and sell I want to work with. Okay, so there's a preview that was added, and I love that feature. Again, these menus give you options to open up the form, start working on it. If you've added an incorrect form, you can delete it from here. One of the new features that I really love is I have a little OCD and I like my forms in a certain order. And you used to have to use those little green arrows to put them in the order that you wanted. And I found that a little cumbersome. Now you can simply drag and drop the forms into the areas that you want. So if I want my disclosure on top, I can simply drag it there. I usually like the nice easy forms in the beginning, and I like the buy and sell usually more toward the end. So I can put them in that order by simply dragging and dropping them into that location. If you want to add more forms, let's say this home has a swimming pool and I need a swimming pool addendum. I can simply go up to the add area, and now I can find the form I'm looking for. So let's say I'm looking for the GMAR swimming pool addendum. I could go to GMAR. I could click on that folder. I could find the form I wanted to add. But remember, if you don't know where a form is located, there's this great search tool up at the right. So if I were to type in swimming pool or simply pool in that area, I could see, oh, wait, yeah, the GMAR swimming pool addendum. That's exactly what I wanted to add. And then all I have to do is select it and hit add, and it now appears on my list of forms. Let's jump to the last step, and that's those outside documents that I keep talking about. Remember that if the agent has added the disclosures to associated docs, you're going to see them automatically. There's nothing that you have to do here. As you notice, I just started this transaction, but here's my disclosures for that property. All I need to do is click on the disclosures, and I can see the actual disclosures that that homeowner filled out. Okay. Now, one of the greatest improvements, I think, is in the old transaction desk, you had to add outside documents one at a time. So let's say you had a pre-approval and a home warranty, and you had a couple things that really aren't the fillable forms. They're not located in any of your company or association or MLS libraries, but the forms that you want to quickly bring into your transaction. Well, now you can do that in a much easier fashion. It's a simple drag and drop. So let's pretend for just a moment I want to do that. I want to bring in some addendums, or I want to bring in a pre-approval, something like that. I can click add, and I'm just going to minimize my screen here for a second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to grab my disclosures here from my desktop. I'm going to grab some, we'll pretend these are bank addendums. All I'm going to do is I'm going to drag them right from my desktop right onto that blue line where it says drag and drop. You can drag up to 20 files at one time. It's very quick. You'll see that it quickly adds them right into your transaction. So remember, instead of having to click upload, find the file on your computer, then add it, then go, you have to do the upload, find the file on your computer, you now can just minimize your screen, grab right from your desktop and pull them right in. If you want to go ahead and add them the way that you used to, if you want to add them one at a time, you want to browse from your computer, you can still do that. Simply click on add. When that opens, there's several different ways that you can bring documents in. We can add from a computer. We can add a copy to DocBox. We can import from a third party. So there's a whole bunch of options to quickly bring those outside documents into your transaction file. All right, now we're at step 5. We've completed our transaction wizard. All you have to do is click done. And here is our dashboard. As I mentioned, The new transaction desk is dashboard. Your dashboard allows you to do whatever you need to do in one convenient location. And you can rearrange your dashboard however you want. So I'm kind of a creature of habit. I kind of like mine to be set up just like the old transaction desk was. So I kind of moved it in that order, but you can move it in whatever order you want. If you want your documents down here, you can actually make the boxes larger or smaller. So there's a whole bunch of things that you can do here. If you want to customize what's going to be on your transaction dashboard, all you have to do is go to these little menu dots that say show and hide widgets. That'll show you everything that's available. So if you want your call log to show up right here, you can add it. So you can track your phone calls. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do. If you've got something on there you don't want on there, simply click remove and you can take it off as easily as you've added it. Now we have all of our information. This is kind of our cover sheet or our old overview, if you will. When I'm ready to start taking a look at the forms, I'm simply going to click on the forms in the forms area. It's going to bring me right into our forms editor. Now, not much has changed in our forms editor, but a couple things I did want to show you is the date that we added. You'll see that's already here. The brokerage information already came over. The brokerage address here. The legal description here. Remember those appliances that we added and the price that we added? All of that came over. And if I want to start making changes, I'm going to simply click and add anything that I forgot. Up here in your Forms editor, under File, you can quickly add additional forms, save forms, make a copy of the forms, delete forms, print out the forms, or send these forms via email, via fax. Send them over to DocBox so you can have a copy of them. You can go ahead and mark them up in DocBox or even send them out for signature. Once inside the Forms editor, when you're ready to view the next form, simply go up to Transaction Forms, pick the form that you're looking for. So maybe I'm looking for my addendum to the buy and sell, and it's going to change to that view. Couple quick things is if you're tired of adding the same information again and again, remember there's a great clause editor. If you don't want to always have to type in something like, the buyer has 7 to 10 days to complete their home inspection, all results must be turned in. Right. If you're commonly typing something like that, remember you can set it up as a clause so that with one click you can insert it. So in this case, if I wanted to type something like that without having to rekey all that information in, I can simply click on the area I want to add the information to, go up to Clause. Now I want to go to, let's see, I want to do my personal clauses. Maybe I want to do 7 to 10 days to perform their home inspection. Click on that check mark, and it's been added. You can also add multiple clauses. So let's say I also want to mention the appliances here, right back up to clause library. And my personal clauses, all appliances to stay with home. And then maybe I don't want to include the fridge on this particular deal. I can just backspace it and take it right out instead of having to rekey them each and every time. So that is how easy it is to create a purchase side transaction. Now I went over a whole lot of information, but just to review the steps, I went to Paragon, I found the property I wanted to write the offer on. I then clicked on that quick action link, took me right into the information. I applied my forms package. That wizard gave me a simple walkthrough, and then I can simply start working on the forms. So in real life, it should take you just a few minutes to complete those steps. But now I would like to back up and pretend that we are on the other side of the table. I want to pretend that we're leaving the buy side transaction and we're going into creating a brand new listing. So I'm going to leave this transaction. And by the way, on the left, you're going to see kind of like a control panel, if you will. Anytime you want to access your transactions, you're going to go to that little house. You can change your view. I kind of like to go right down the line here, but if you kind of want to more in that iBooks feel, as I mentioned, with that picture on the front, you can change that. But that is the little button to the left. That is where you're going to find all your existing transactions, and it's where you can actually start a new transaction. So in this case, I want to start a listing side transaction. I'm going to go right over here to add, and I'm going to repeat kind of that similar step we saw in the buy side. This time we're going to call it, let's see, 41539. And I want to apply my listing package this time. I'm going to select that. But this time, I don't want to pull from Paragon. I don't want to pull from what another agent listed in Paragon. Or let's say that this is a never been listed before home. There's nothing to even pull from Paragon. I want to pull directly from the tax information. So I'm going to go ahead and select a source, which is going to be Realist. Now, I don't want to have to go into Realist and find a tax ID and hunt for that property. I want to make it much easier. What I want to do is I want to go right to this little magnifying glass, and I want to search by address. Now, there is a trick to this, so let me be very clear. You only want to fill out the county that the property is located in, the street number, and the root street name. And here's why. Tax records are very exact. This happens to be located on Wessel Drive. But every time I put in Wessel Drive, it came up with an error. And you'll find that it does quite often if you put too much information in. Remember, you want to keep it short and sweet. You want it to be the county, the street number, and the root street name. Do not fill in the city, the zip code, or the tax number because many times you will return an error. Remember here, less is best. What I want to do is I want to search for that tax data. Once I do that, you can see very quickly it found that property and the owner's name. I want to select it and select. I want to be the listing agent here, which is already checked for me, and create. Now what it's going to do is it's going to pull that owner information in. It's going to pull me as the listing agent, and you can see how much information is already starting to autofill. The street number, street name, city, county, zip code, subdivision, legal description, township, tax number, year built. These are just a few that it's already pulling for you. Now, if this was a true listing, I would want to go in and fill in my listing price and other information. If we jump over to step 3, you can see it even pulled my seller's information in for me. So I have me as the listing agent and brokerage, and now I've got my seller's information in here too. If I go to save and exit, you'll notice it takes us back to what they used to call the overview. I've got all of my forms right here. And now I can, let's say I want to go into my exclusive right to list. I can simply click on that particular form and start filling in any additional information. A couple really cool things that have been done. If you go, again, if you want to jump from form to form, you're going to go right up to that transaction form button. But one of the things that they added are sending your seller's disclosure statements ahead. Now, I really like this because if you're going on a listing appointment, a lot of times we get there, we give them this important form and we say, okay, fill this out with as much information as you know. It's a very important form. Make sure you list everything out. I always like to tell my clients to use it as a selling tool. So if you know, for instance, that you have a 30-year warranty on the roof or a 10-year warranty on the roof, make sure you're adding that on there. So I would then go measure the rooms and I'd come back and they were still working on the form and there are all these crossed outs and I can't read half of it anyway. Well, keep in mind there's a much easier way. You can actually send your seller's disclosure statement ahead to your client so they can fill it out right from their email. So for instance, if I'm on my seller's disclosure, generally, grab the wrong seller's disclosure. I think I did for vacant land. Let me quickly grab the seller's disclosure from Mars. You can see a really good example here. Let me go to my seller's disclosure. Seller's disclosure statement. Sorry, I grabbed the wrong one. Let me add that one in here. All right, so this is a form that I'm not filling out. This is a form that my seller is going to be filling out. So I want to send this form to them in an unlocked format. Now keep in mind, in Instanet, when you're sending these documents out, you're sending them always in a locked format. And I like that as an agent because I don't want them changing the purchase agreement or changing the listing contracts. I put them that way for a reason. However, this seller's disclosure statement is a form I'm not filling out at all. So I want to go ahead and send this over to the client to be filled out. So I need to find a way to unlock it so they can fill it out just like you fill out the other forms, how you can type in there, and if you make a mistake, you can change it. All you do to send this form in an unlocked format is you go to File and Send. Now I want to send this to them via email. Okay, and if you want to add more forms, by the way, you totally can do that. I recommend only doing this for the seller's disclosure statement. But now I don't want to send it as a locked attachment. I want to send it as a link, and I want to allow them to make changes. You could put an expiration date on it if you wanted. Now, I already added my Mr. Moneybags in here. You can add a new seller in. If you have a seller in your contacts, you can do that just for the sake of time. If I wanted to send this over to Madeline Clark, my seller, or any of my Instanet contacts, I can do that. I'm going to use our Mr. Moneybags here just for a quick second since we already added him in. Here's our Mr. Moneybags right here. And I now want to basically send it as a link, allow them to be able to fill it out. And by checking off send as a link and allow them to make changes, it will be an open format. Again, I only recommend doing this on a seller's disclosure, but it allows you to send it ahead. So for me, if I'm going on a listing appointment this evening, I'll call in the morning and I'll say, hey, I just want to confirm the time. I'll be there between 5 and 6. And oh, by the way, I'm sending you a seller's disclosure statement. It's a really important form, and it'll allow me to go over all the information with you when I arrive for your listing appointment, and we can talk about any concerns or any questions you have on the form at that time. So all then you have to do to send this to that seller is click that check mark, and that document will be delivered to them via email. When they get it, by the way, all they do is open up their email. It has all of your contact information. They click on the seller's disclosure statement, and all they have to do after completely filling it out is hit save. It will then send you, the agent, a notification that that document has been opened, and within 3 minutes of them filling it out and hitting save, you'll see it back in your transaction. And if I'm sending this, by the way, from transaction 41539 Wessel Drive, when I open up 41539 Wessel Drive, that's where that seller disclosure that they filled out will be. Another great feature of Transaction Desk is the ability to completely fill out a data sheet and push all that information over to Paragon. That allows you to then go in, add the photos, and hit save to make that listing live. So let's take a look at a transaction with a filled out data sheet. Let me go to one of my listings here. Let's take a look at this one. So this is a listing transaction that I went ahead and filled the data sheet out for. Grab my data sheet. So what you'll notice is the data sheet has been updated. It now will show you all of the required information, but it also follows the input screen within Paragon. So as you go through it, it's a little bit easier to fill out. One of the great things here is that as I fill this out, I don't want to have to now go on my listing appointment and then come back and fill out all that information and then go into Paragon and fill it all out again. So what I do is I fill out most of the information in the data sheet. But obviously, if I haven't been on the listing appointment yet, I may not know what my final price is. I may not know what my room sizes are. So what I do is I fill out as much information as I can on the data sheet and then I save it. Then after my listing appointment, when I have the listing and I know the missing information like the price and the other details, I simply fill that missing information in and then I click the upload listing button. Now, what this does is it takes all of this information and it creates a partial right inside of Paragon. Now, your admins at your front desk who have the admin feature, they can also do this. So if you're on back-to-back listing appointments and you call your admin and you say, hey, can you get that listing in Paragon right away? They can go in and use the assume identity function, click that upload button, and push all of the information that you filled out on your data sheet directly to Paragon. So what you see down here is that it's created my partial listing. Now to finish that process, to make that listing live, I simply am going to go back to Paragon. I am then going to go to my listing section under partials. And again, your admins can do this for you. I'm going to click right on it. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and now find my partial. Again, your office can see all office partials. But I'm going to look at my Stratford here. I'm going to click on it. Now I want to go in. I want to simply add my pictures on the left-hand side and then go in and put my active status and my listing date. Then all I need to do is hit save and I'm going to make that listing live. If I just want to add the missing information, maybe I'm not listing it for another week, I can again save it as a partial, and then when I'm ready to put that listing in the MLS as a live listing, all I have to do is hit save. So that takes the double entry out of the whole process. One of the other things that I really like in the new transaction desk, and it was in the previous version, but it was a little harder to spot. And that is the new markup tools and the document slicer tools. So let's take a look at some of those. Go into, let's see, this cranberry listing here. And in the markup tools, anytime you're marking up a document, you will do that under the documents section. Now you can start a markup from forms, but it really always pushes it into your documents section. It creates a copy of the form and puts it in your doc box or your documents, if you will. But let's take a look at this. Let's say, for instance, someone dropped a paper offer off at your front desk. Now you want to counter that offer. All you're going to do is you're going to click open those documents, or you're going to actually scan them, bring them in, but you can make counters to those documents. So let's say that I want to mark this document up. I can go ahead and use the markup tools. I can cross something off of the document. I could go ahead and counter the price by creating a text box. Go ahead and do 500. I can go ahead and highlight things for a client to see. So there's some great markup tools in here. But many times, especially when we're out on the road, we may have sent our buyer's agency, along with our agency, maybe along with our purchase agreement and their pre-approval. Now I want to go ahead and I want to send documents over to the co-oping agent. But I don't want them to see my buyer's agency, and I don't want them to see confidential things between my client and myself. So how do I keep certain pages from appearing in that PDF? If I've got it all in one PDF and he's signed it, maybe I want to go ahead and I want to make some changes. Maybe I want to take off certain pages of that document. So what you can do is I'm going to go ahead and open up an offer on my cranberry property. And I'm going to say that this happens to be a multiple page document, but I want to slice a page or two off that maybe are just confidential between me and my buyer. I'm going to go right up here to the document slicer tool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select that. And this gives me the ability to select pages, remove pages, I can delete pages. What I like to do also is when I'm saving it, I always do a save as because I always want that whole paper trail. So it allows me to shave off certain pages and save it as maybe counteroffer 1, counteroffer 2, or documents for co-oping agent. So now I can see my whole history in Transaction Desk. By the way, you'll be able to see anything you email out of Transaction Desk as well as faxes. So you get that whole history of everything that took place within your transaction. One of the new features in Instanet is that you now can customize, as I mentioned, your transaction dashboard. So I've got my transaction dashboard set up, but remember, you can put whatever you want in here and you can arrange these in whatever order works best for you. You can make them larger or smaller. So it's really more customizable. But keep in mind that right up here, right above that little house where you're looking at your transactions, is your agent dashboard. And that is also customizable. If you're a broker, you'll have a broker dashboard. And so you can use these little these little dots here to add what you want to be located on your dashboard. So for me, I want to do everything from one convenient place. I want to be able to add contacts. I want to be able to quickly add something for a client to authenticate. I want to be able to work with my transactions. I want to see what I've sent in authenticate. So all of these options are here. All you need to do is really just decide what ones you want to add and then arrange them where you want them to be. If you are a broker, you can simply change to the broker dashboard and you can set that up. So you can have a personal dashboard if you're creating your own business, as well as a broker dashboard so that you can see what's going on within your office. And lastly, I want to take a look at what they used to call quick start groups and now they call transaction templates. So I'm going to go to my setup over here, or the little settings that kind of look like gears. When you click on the settings, this will give you all of your options. You can set up your preferences, you can set up your clauses here, but the one I want to draw your attention to is the transaction templates. Now, this can be created on an office level if you're a broker and you have those super user permissions, or you can create them for yourself. As you can see, I've created a couple on my own here, but my office also has a few that are set up. To create transaction templates, it's very simple. I think it's much easier now than it used to be. You go right up to the add at the top right-hand corner. This allows you to go ahead and give it a name. Again, if you're creating it for your office, you can choose office or personal. But I'm going to call this Colleen's listing packet. And I can even put a description in. I can say that I want to use this when I'm going to do a residential listing. I'm going to go ahead and basically save that name. Now you can add not only outside forms, but you can add things like if you have team marketing that you do. Maybe you're on a team and you have some special marketing. Maybe you have a marketing plan that you want to have that's always added in here. So you can go in and simply click on the plus. This is going to allow you to add your association forms. So I want to go ahead and I want to make sure I have all my real source forms here. So I'm going to look for my data sheet right here. Just for the sake of time, I'm going to grab a couple here. Just grab a couple of forms. And again, if I have a couple MAR forms that I want to intermingle, I can do that too. I'm just going to now go to my Michigan Association of Realtor forms. Going to go ahead and just for the sake of time, I'll just grab a couple here. But I think you get the general idea. And I'm going to now add all of those in at one time. So you can have company forms in here. You can have your My Real Source forms. You can have association forms. If you want to add outside forms, very simple. All you're going to do is click on that plus, and I can go ahead and add a document or even a folder. Again, it's that drag and drop option. So all I'm going to do is find what I want to add. Minimize my screen. Maybe I have some marketing here. I can just drag it right into the file. So maybe I've got some information on marketing this home that I always want to be included. It's a simple drag and drop right from your desktop or your computer right into your template. You can add contacts, checklists, and so much more than you could previously. It's that easy to set up your transaction templates. So we hope that you found this video helpful. Remember that we have outstanding tech support. So should you have questions about using the new improved transaction desk, you can reach us. We're available 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. If you want to know where to go to find all the tech support information, you're going to go right to myrealsource.com. Right under services, if you click on tech support, you'll see where you can find the hours, you can see the support email, you can send a support request, or just give us a call. And if you're interested in other videos, maybe some help tutorials on some of our other products, keep in mind right over to the right, you'll find a link to our webinars. And if you're inside of Paragon, we put some helpful cheat sheets there as well. So inside of Paragon, right up at the top right-hand corner, you'll see MLS Documents. You click on MLS Documents, go right to the Education folder, and there's helpful how-tos. Simply click on the how-to you're looking for. And let me shrink this down a little bit. It'll have big arrows and pictures guiding you through whatever topic you're looking for help on. Thanks so much for watching this video, and we look forward to seeing you in one of our classes.